Now the Avijit Roy Courage Award, bestowed on courageous individuals around the world. And to introduce the award and to introduce the awardee will be Rafida Bonya Ahmed. We call her Bonya Ahmed. Bonya, you have seen, she's spoken at our conference before. She's the recipient of FFRF's Forward Award. So let's welcome Bonya Ahmed.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy No King's Day, I guess. Looking at all of us this morning, I was just thinking there couldn't be a better way to protest and show solidarity with the No King's Day than what we are doing here, all of us together. It is a wonderful protest against the kings, queens, all over the world, not just here, who are still persecuting people for political, religious reasons, for saying, just expressing their thoughts. But it's very sad to see that it's not anymore just in the global south. All those, poor developing countries in the global south, it's here. It's here in America too. And we have to protest against an elected king in office. We thought we made some progress. We were ahead. We got little ahead of those countries where autocracy, hateful persecutions are so prevalent. We thought we got this. We have progressed so much that, on these individual freedom of rights, freedom of thoughts, didn't we? No, everything is under attack now. We heard from these very brilliant kids, starting from our individual rights, DEI, minority rights, everything is under attack again. Anyways, I guess we are here today, and we have to continue to fight. But anyways, before I get carried away with this, let me get back to what I am supposed to do here, standing here today. I'm here to introduce, as Dan said, the 2025 Avijit Courage Award and the recipient of this Courage Award. And I'm so honored to introduce the two very brave humanists, the fighters who were fighting and what is still fighting for our rights, for our freedom. You guys know that freedom of thoughts is a very fundamental human freedom, so that each of us has the liberty to think independently, freely, question, imagine anything without the fear of persecution or coercion. And that is exactly what is at the very root of human creativity and progress. Let me first introduce you the person this award was named after, Dr. Avijit Roy. Avijit was trained in biomedical engineering and worked in IT and was a prolific writer. He was born in Bangladesh. I was too. If you're wondering, it is the very small country in Asia surrounded by India. You don't have to look up anymore. I get this question a lot, though. But anyways, he also happened to be my husband and partner in crime. Alongside our day jobs, we wrote. In 15 years that we were together, he wrote 8 books, edited 2. I just managed to write 1 book on evolution of life. But for Avijit, writing was his passion. He also created the first Bengali online platform back in 2000 when blogging was hip, or becoming hip. And he wrote books on science, philosophy of atheism, humanism. He wrote against the oppression of women, minorities, homosexuals. We both decided to write in Bengali or Bangla, the native language, because these kind of taboo topics, books on these topics were not easily available in our native language. Though we lived in Atlanta, here, worked here for like decades. So his writings inspired many, but at the same time, it really enraged those militant Islamists back home. In 2015, we decided to visit our home country. We used to go like every few years, and especially to visit Avijit's parents, and also to attend a book signing trip for Avijit's 2 new books in a historic book fair, month-long book fair in Bangladesh. It's an annual book fair. And that's where we were targeted. We're targeted and attacked by the militant Islamists of the Indian, Al-Qaeda of the Indian subcontinent. Avijit bled to death in the middle of the street. And don't know how I survived with 4 machete stabs on my head with a chopped off thumb. Yeah, but I have to admit that 9 fingers worked pretty well. Thank you. Yeah, I can do everything. I can do pretty much everything. But anyways, let me do what I am looking forward to do. Let me introduce our hero, our recipient of Avijit Courage Award of this year, Mubarak Bala. He is a human rights activist and president of the Humanists of Nigeria. He was arrested in 2020 for posting a Facebook comment which apparently or deemed as like an insult to Prophet Muhammad in Nigeria. Actually, it's the same way in Bangladesh too. I had a lot of my friends arrested for the same reason. He spent a year in detention before being sentenced to 40 years in prison. An appeals court later was very kind to reduce it to 5 years. But last year he was released and stayed on sanction in Nigeria. Many international groups, including our FFRF, called for his release and repeal of the blasphemy laws. Mubarak Bala will be receiving FFRF's Avijit Roy Courage Award, accepting remotely. I give you Mubarak Bala. He's going to tell us his story. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bonya Ahmed, the widow to Avijit Roy. Thank you very much. Thank you for presenting this award to me. I got it not really virtual, but in actual form. You can see it here. Let me forward it to the camera. It's and this is Avijit here. This is his image here. And for some of you that don't know, Avijit Roy, he was killed in Bangladesh a decade ago by a mob. I think in Dhaka, they were purchasing books, if I remember correctly. I read about his works. This was, I think, the time that I was also facing my own traumas. And then I read that someone purchasing books with his wife was macheted on the streets in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. And I wondered, what was he doing there? Although I am also in Nigeria, I wondered, what am I doing in Nigeria that people could get me? Because it's the same thing. If you left the religion and if you criticize the religion, then you know your life is at risk. After Michal, after Avijit, then Michal Khan also was killed in his hostel by his friends in the university. So I think this is the most challenging times we have as a human community, where we are not tolerated, we are not appreciated, we are not. I think we are not loved by Muslims. My reach out is to the Muslims. So firstly, I would say thank you, and I hope the spirit of Avijit, not in the metaphorical form. So I hope it continues to give us the courage to work in this kind of dangerous waters that we always try to give ourselves the courage to continue on. Although there's still much more work to be done regarding freedom of religion and freedom from religion. I think a lot has been achieved in our own sphere, not with the government, but within our own circles. We've understood how we can maybe balance between these freedoms of speech and how we reach out to the communities, the hostile communities, which is mostly Muslim. In fact, just last weekend, I was with a Muslim family on a dinner with a feast there. I was invited. This is how we try to reach out, although I'm still in danger if it was in my country, because this is Germany. This is another country entirely. So we tend to be cool with each other. We tend to be respectful to each other. And we tend to call ourselves family. This is my message most of the times to the Muslim communities, that we're leaving your religion, we're criticizing the religion, but it doesn't mean we hate you or we don't like you. We, as much as we can, would want to remain in our countries. I want to go back home. I don't want to live in Germany. I don't want to live in Europe. But we need to have this understanding that I have the right to leave my religion or the religion I was born into, and I have the right to criticize the religion that would sentence me to death for just leaving. Firstly, it's just the apostasy that gets you killed, the leaving of religion. Then also the blasphemy aspect of it, which is criticizing mostly the culture that you have come from. If you arrived from maybe Hinduism, then definitely it's Hinduism you get to criticize. If you are from Buddhist religion, this is the religion that you know most of the times, and you know how to counter the arguments they ever had. So now our problem is all these cultures have tolerated us for maybe for centuries or for even millennia, because with the philosophers in the Greek school of thought, we know that there are criticisms right before the Abrahamic religions. People have thought and have said what they felt. This is how the universe works, or maybe just philosophical inquiries generally. But then there is trouble when it comes to Abrahamic religions, especially Christianity and Islam, and maybe Judaism. I think Jesus, in that aspect, was killed for blasphemy. If he existed, I don't know if it's true that someone like that existed. So Judaism has problem with criticism. Christianity has problem with criticism, and now Islam has a big problem with criticism. They call it blasphemy. And also it's discouraging that it's the British that enshrined these laws in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, through the colonial times, and then in the Sahel region of West Africa, where I come from, in Nigeria. So I'll give you a little background of my story now, looking at the time. I was born, Mubarak Bala, from religious family in northern Nigeria, Kano State to be precise. I grew up with a simple life where all I had to do is just wake up 5 a.m. in the morning, study the Quran for an hour or two, then prepare myself at 7 a.m. to the normal Western education schools, which is a privilege only a few could ever get in my part of the world. And I did that. So you have that routine of the early morning Quranic studies at 5 a.m. to 7. Then you go to your normal school from 8 to 1 p.m. Then 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. you're still also going back to this study to study the Quran again. We have several subjects and several other things like how you conduct yourself, how you pray, how you fast, how you conduct daily activities. Then it ends at 6 p.m. Then you're supposed to go, and then between dusk, when the sun sets, and around 8 p.m. there is another. In between those two prayers, there is another hour that you have to study. This is my routine, and then you also have another routine again from 8:30 to 10 p.m. So this routine is a very, very tight schedule that I was into, and I had no other options but to be in this system. And I have no contact with non-Muslims. The school I went to is Saudi-funded primary school, even though Western education is taught, but it doesn't allow Christians to join. They're teaching us science, physics, it's primary school, so you could say maybe integrated science, mathematics, English, and stuff like that. But no non-Muslims are allowed. Same as secondary school, teaching us science, geography, physics, chemistry, but no non-Muslims are allowed. So I was so isolated from the world. There was no internet. All I knew is Islam. There's nothing I could ever know. But then I got to understand the science, especially geography. It came with cosmology, and I could imagine what it's saying. It doesn't really rhyme with what I got from the Quran. And so the conflict began. But I was doing it in a way, trying to bring these two together, hoping that maybe if I could reconcile the religion with the science and whatever I could reason, then most probably it would be the most attractive religion. In my mind, I thought maybe I'm saving people from hellfire. Not just that, but also I'm winning people for the religion because it's supposed to dominate everyone, dominate the world, and convert everyone. I wouldn't want everyone killed because they said the Mahdi will come end of times, to convert people and then kill whoever doesn't convert. This is what the Shiites believe. This is what even the Sunnis believe. So my conflict began at those early times in my teenage years. And gradually, I got to realize that maybe the religion is wrong, but I can't really say it. I realized that if I said it, then most times I get to say it to friends and they say, what weird thoughts do you have? What devil is disturbing your mind? Actually, they call it the heart. If you are doubting your faith, for example, if I said really man landed on the moon in 1969, then someone would say, really? But you know, the Quran said the moon is on the fourth floor of heaven, has seven layers, the heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. God is on the last layer, which is the seventh heaven. Then you have angels, and then you have the sun on the fifth layer, you have the moon on the fifth layer, and you have a flat planet, the planet Earth, and then everything. I think we have also another 7 layers below ground, where hellfire is at the last ground. But then there are angels of torture and this and that. So these are things that I would express doubt about, and that people will say, you have to be crazy and you have to be careful because this could get you killed. But I'm just a teenager. So in my university, I gradually grew out of this and I got my independence of mind and I was comfortable with what I thought is right. And then I started telling my family and then started writing. It was activism, but there was no internet. So I could just write letters to governors or to presidents about how I think our society should be governed. And no one would listen. Then one day I felt I have to tell my mother because I was traveling to the UK for my master's degree, petrochemical engineering. And I told her I wouldn't want to break your heart because if I left, I would tell the world that I'm not a Muslim, I don't believe in Islam anymore. And it has been like this for almost half a decade, but I want you to know. And the mother felt maybe sympathy for me, that maybe I may not go to the paradise, everybody would go and be saved while I'm condemned. So she was really concerned and she told my father, instead of my father to sit with me and discuss these things with me because I thought he was reasonable enough to understand it because he went to school. Instead of that, he arranged for a psychiatric evaluation because the Sharia demands if you said you don't believe, you've got 3 days, 72 hours to recant and repent and convert back, or you would be subjected to psychiatric evaluation where after the confirmation that you left the religion, you're supposed to lose your head. In some instances, it says if they can't kill you, maybe they could crucify you, but only after you lose opposing limbs, lose one arm and one leg, left arm, right leg, all the same, and then you get crucified or exiled. Or you could be exiled, which is what I've been facing for a decade plus now, exile. And I tried as much as I can to remain in my country so I can be as normal as possible, normalize being an atheist, as well as mingle with the people and try as much as I can to, I don't have to convert anyone. People want to really, they already have the same mindset. So they try to come to me with explanations and we give ourselves courage and we form our own communities. But my aim is not really to convert anyone. If you have the mindset, then at least you have someone, a friend. But my own hope was if my society could first tolerate me, that I get to leave the religion without any repercussions, then I think I'll be safe. But it started with that. The first instance at the psychiatric hospital, the doctor said, well, it's not really a psychiatric issue to disbelieve in God. But then 6 months later, I ended up in the same psychiatric hospital with a senior doctor who thought Adam and Eve story was true, who thought I was crazy to say God does not exist. And immediately he put a system in a way that I was sedated. And for 24 hours or 48 hours, I was unconscious. But then I woke up in a psychiatric hospital. Then my trouble started. I tried to I got a phone and I wrote a few emails and I passed it out, which was June 2014. I could remember. I sent out these letters that I should be saved because they are giving me antipsychotics and anti-epileptic drugs. I knew how crazy it was because it was messing with my brain. I couldn't think, I couldn't stand, I couldn't do anything. So rescue came through folks such as you, and the media picked it up, and my father felt he was in trouble, so he let me go. The hospital just let me go, and I asked for the file so I could see the symptoms that they wrote there because they knew I would publicize it. But they felt embarrassed that the doctor misdiagnosed someone. So all they could do is just to call a strike, a general strike for all the doctors. So all patients were released. And this is how I got out. But then everyone now wanted me dead. The leader of Boko Haram released a video saying that I should die. But also my state government, the whole region, 12 states of Nigeria, 12 of 36 states of Nigeria, practice the Sharia, which is in the north, and they want me dead. So I had to flee the region and try to roam about in Nigeria without actually leaving Nigeria, hoping I could maybe find some succor to whatever trouble I was in. People also looked for me actively. A mob looked for me actively to kill me. So I roamed about for half a decade again. Then I settled in Kaduna State. I started work as an engineer in an electrical company. But then COVID-19 came and people now were locked up and they had time. They had the internet and they had time. So they saw what I was writing and they felt, yeah, that person that was supposed to be killed 5-6 years ago is still alive and is still in Nigeria. Now we could get him. Then the search started again for getting me killed. So now they could get me killed, but the government thought maybe if they could put me in custody, they could appease these fanatics. But the appeasement came, if you took someone from a region that is safer, you're supposed to take him away from that region so that no one kills him. But then my government smuggled me back home to Kano State, where it's almost 100% Muslim. And for apostasy, you could get killed. For blasphemy, you could get killed. But then for the third accusation of insulting the prophet, this is almost instantaneous. You get killed. You get killed in Pakistan. You get killed in Somalia. You get killed in Afghanistan. You get killed in northern Nigeria. There's no doubt about that. But still, they took me there. They told me that the trial could get you killed, but we have to take you. I said, why? They said, you have to convert back if you don't want this to happen. Convert to Islam, and we take video that you are repented, and but you on a condition that you will no longer be online again. You will no longer talk to infidels again, meaning I don't have to have any contact with non-Muslims. And then you have to behave the good Muslim you are, and we have to marry you to a Muslim woman in an Islamic way. And then you have to live in Kano State. That's my home state, without ever leaving ever again. and you will never have access to social media or phone or whatever. This went on for 3 months, and when I refused to convert, they took me to jail with 2,000 Muslims that could kill me if they knew who I was. So I was offered the same religion again, and I had to now convert. I asked for how long. They said for 2 weeks, but it lasted 2 years. 24 months, then the trial started. When I realized that they were digging up to Facebook and they had 5 to 8 posts, I realized if they want to dig deeper, maybe they would give me 1,000 years. So it's better I just plead guilty, because now you're in the biggest trouble you could ever be. Now you're public. Now people know your location. People know the prison you are kept. People know the courts and the dates, subsequent dates that would come up. Then you are in the biggest trouble. Even the policemen cannot hold the mob that would come for you, and especially the lawyers I have. And also, you have to know that my society kills people just because there was blasphemy anywhere in the world. If it happened in Paris, if it happened in London, they could just go out to kill people. So the trial would ginger people to go out in the streets to kill people, and then it would be my responsibility. So I wouldn't want that trial to happen ever. And so immediately they wrote me the charges. I pled guilty, which is supposed to be just 3 years, meaning after serving 24 months, I got freedom. But they said, well, 24, and they counted it as 3 years plus 2 years, that's 5 years. And stretching them to the 8 counts, they gave me 24 years plus 16 years. This is how I ended up with 40 years in jail. And immediately I did that, I sought a transfer out of the prison in Kano back to the capital. Then we started an appeal, and the appeal also sat in Kano instead of the center, instead of the capital, meaning they cannot be free to judge. So they judged that I have served 5 years, 4.5 years, which is equivalent to 7 years in jail. And they said, well, you could be released now because you have served a few lessons in your life that you now know you're in trouble. So we got the freedom on condition that I could appeal, or the state government that took me could appeal. They don't have the jurisdiction, so they didn't appeal. So I have the chance to appeal, and this is what we are on, an appeal. And then I got this scholarship to come to Germany for 6 months reparations. But if I could extend my stay until we get the Supreme Court judgment done, this is what I intend to do. But so far, I'm still working and networking, trying to reach more people so we can enshrine this freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from religion, as well as freedom for everyone to practice what they believe, as long as they don't want other people killed.